Hello YouTube, and you get to see my ugly mug today again as we're going to be discussing focus firing in dogfighting games and why, in particular, when you're flying smaller spaceships in games like Elite Dangerous and Star Citizen, as well as any flight simulator, it's a generally bad idea. Now, a lot of this comes from folks who have played MMORPGs that are typically point and click, where you want your DPS ships, your shield tank ships, or characters, whether it be World of Warcraft, EVE Online, Battlestar Galactica Online, Star Trek Online, so on and so forth. The typical mantra in PvP is you have your DPS ships and everybody else focus fire on one target, quickly kill them, and then move on to the next, and that's how you win battles. That's not necessarily how it works out in a game like Star Citizen's Arena Commander, especially with the smaller fighters, as well as to a certain extent in Elite Dangerous as well when we're talking about PvP fights. Now, I'm going to go through a little bit of the history of why this is, and it's grounded and rooted in real-life aerial combat. If we step back about a century into World War I, you have the Dicta Polka, which kind of is the basic framework from which all future dogfighting tactics was written. In there is rule number 8, it's tips for squadrons. 2 targets or 2 wingmen should not engage the same target at the same time. Now, the logic behind this is twofold. First off, if the numbers are anywhere close to being equal, typically as they should be in Arena Commander, I know it's not always the case, sometimes you get a 2-on-5 type match, but in theory, that should be 4-on-4, 3-on-3, 5-on-5, 6-on-6, so on and so forth in Arena Commander right now. Doesn't always work out to be the case, but it's more or less designed to be equal numbers on each side. Well, what happens is, let's say you and your wingman are attacking a single target. That means that if the numbers are equal, there's a guy up here that is completely not being attacked, being ignored, and he's free to pick and choose that perfect opportunity to swoop down and make the kill on either your wingman or you. Additionally, the second reason why 2 machines attacking the same target is generally a bad idea, especially in aerial combat games, is as the Israeli Air Force says, only 1 aircraft can occupy that 6 o'clock position at a time, physically speaking. You are much more likely to end up in a midair collision than you are to provide additional firepower on a single target out here. Ironically, I guess you could say that is actually how Bulka died in World War I. He died in a midair collision with one of his wingmen. They, unbeknownst to each other, there were not radios in that day. There were just signal flares and signal flags and things of that nature. Occasionally maybe trying to yell at each other over the sound of the wind and the props and the machine gun fire. But at any rate, he and his wingman were going after the same target, didn't know it, and he basically clipped his wingman's landing gear. It ripped off the top wing of his biplane, and Bulka crashed to the ground and died subsequently. So that's the other major reason why you don't have 2 targets going after the same one, is due to collisions. Now, from my experiences in Arena Commander, collisions can be a bit of a big deal in Star Citizen right now. If you have 2 300s and you're going after the same target and you do end up colliding, generally speaking, it causes quite a bit of damage and can really mess you up. So, I think the rules still very much apply. Now, there are a lot of people who say, but it's space combat, not aerial combat. Therefore, you have 6 degrees, therefore at least 6 different attack vectors that you can engage a target. So in theory, you could be attacking a target from here, your wingman can be attacking a target from up here. And while if you enjoy a numerical advantage, that is certainly an option, depends on the situation. If you don't have a numerical advantage, the 2 of you are attacking a single target, what's this guy's wingman going to do? Well, he's going to come in and pick on one of you 2. Especially if he's being a good wingman. That's what he's supposed to do. Fly top cover for his lead, for the shooter. So, the rules there still more or less apply as to why it's not necessarily a great idea for 4 of you to be attacking the same guy. If it's a 4-on-4 fight, let's say, and all 4 of you are attacking the same target, you might kill him quicker, but what is his other 3 wingmen doing? Chances are, if they're smart, they're attacking 3 of your guys. And maybe, yeah, you guys have successfully killed that guy in a single pass, but shortly thereafter, 3 of your wingmen go down, and now it's 3-on-1, and you just lost. Now, in Arena Commander, it doesn't matter so much because you have instant respawn right now, In the persistent universe, it would be a much different story. His 3 wingmen, yeah, you lost 1 airframe, your 3 wingmen are dead, and now there's 3 of them still left against you, and chances are you're either getting the hell out of Dodge or dying. Something to think about there when you're talking about differences in tactics that you're going to be using in Arena Commander versus, say, a persistent environment or a persistent universe environment. Elite Dangerous, it kind of works out to be interesting due to his flight dynamics being closer to atmospheric flight. When, you'll see a lot of times, let's say, 2 Cobras going after another Cobra, or 2 Vipers going after a Cobra, or something like that. And they'll start out at different attack vectors. Maybe one's kind of up here, one's down here, one's over to the sides, and shooting at this target. But as it extends, it has the tendency to pull these 2 guys in together and merge them. Fortunately, in a game like Elite Dangerous, you have shields and armor, and generally speaking, 2 similarly massed ships, when they bounce off each other or collide, will just bounce off each other. May cause some damage, may not, but generally it is not as big a deal as it is in Star Citizen Arena Commander in the way that those ships behave. Nonetheless, you still have that problem of 2 craft can't physically occupy that same space. Now, I don't know how well this is going to work out here, but the question then becomes, what happens with big ships? Let's see if this will actually... No. It may... So we have 2 little... I'm about to say, this is where you can tell I failed 3rd grade art class. But we have generic big ship. This could be a ship that's not going to stay magnetized and attached up here. So I'm just going to hold it here. You have generic big ship. Well, as you're close together, again, you can see how those line up. But as the ship extends, it has a tendency, especially if it's faster, to then pull these 2 together. And what happens eventually, depending on the size, they collide. That's kind of my physical show and tell, and further proof that I failed 3rd grade art class. Is it going to stay? Stay, ship, stay. Generic big ship. Now, in Star Citizen, in the future, whenever we do have the larger ships to fight against and you have smaller ships, due to the way that the thruster mechanics work, it should be possible to attack, actually, in a 3-dimensional environment using strafing thrusters. The thing about strafing thrusters, you still have the same max speed. It just takes you longer to get there with a TR1 thruster than a TR2 main thruster. That should be the side. That's how things should work. I've not really physically tested it enough in-game. And with it still being just Arena Commander version 1.0, there still can be changes to the flight models and things like that. So, this is how things stand, in theory, should work as of February 2015. A year from now, 2 years from now, it may be dramatically different. In Elite Dangerous, you can do something very similar if the ships you are flying are significantly faster than generic big ship. And this could be an Asp, it could be an Anaconda. But generally speaking, the Anaconda, even on boost, is not as fast as, say, a Viper or Cobra. The Cobra's boost, go flight assist off, and use that momentum to slide around, keep up with a ship. So that's how you can focus fire on a single target. And if you have a numerical advantage, go for it, as long as you're attacking from different vectors. You just got to be aware of if a ship that's similar speeds or faster, if they start to boost away and you start your attack, it's going to start to draw you down as it merges away. So, as that kind of failed, and I'm probably not going to edit that out, I think needs more magnets. So I would probably try to get all that stuff straightened out for next time, but I thought I would try to give at least an impression of where I'm thinking whenever I draw some of these things out, at least in my mind, if not playing with physical models. And just observations I have from general combat. I'll probably try to capture... I don't always run with Shadow Play on. I guess I probably should whenever I'm playing Elite or Star Citizen. Especially now that I got a 970. Shouldn't have any frame rate issues. So I should probably do a little bit more so I can intersplice videos of what's going on and what I see from my perspective. But I'm sure I'll be revisiting this topic at some point. Thank you very much. See you next time.